What's up YouTube? Today I have a really unique ring build planned, but in order to do it we need to head to the Diamond District in New York City, so let's do it. Hey guys, I'm here with Derek. Today we've got something special planned, but first Derek, why don't you just take a second and introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, so I'm a 3D modeler from Brooklyn, New York, and I specialize in jewelry design.
And you've got kind of this interesting backstory. Just explain real quick kind of how you got into everything.
So I actually have a background in architecture, and we use 3D printing in some of our projects at school. So you can see a lot of that reflected in some of my work.
Yeah, and we'll show a bunch of pictures showing all your work, but it's really kind of interesting. I'd never seen this before. No one else is able to pack as much design as you are into your pieces. They're like amazingly intricate. They have so much design going for them. And so that's why I've really just been drawn to your work, why I've wanted to work with you. But obviously we live like 1,000 miles away. We can't really connect super well. And like we'd play video games together, we'd talk and chat, but we decided like, hey, let's get together, let's get something done. But there's why don't you explain how we came to the conclusion on what we should build?
Yeah, so over some rounds of Counter-Strike and PUBG, we were just trying to think of some ideas to do for our ring design, and I think today we're gonna make a frag grenade ring.
Let's do it.
Grenade out!
So let's dive into the 3D model of this grenade ring and pendant. There are a few ways to start a 3D model for a ring, but today we're going to begin with the ring profile because it's essential to have a profile that resembles the shape of a grenade. Now, this took a few tries, but I finally found a shape that I was happy with, so I extrude this profile into a cylindrical ring shape. To make this a true pineapple grenade, I'll have to add a waffle pattern to the outside of the ring. So I'm gonna start with horizontal cuts first. I'm just using an extruded half-ellipse shape to cut these portions out of the ring. As you can see, it's looking pretty close to the final product, so I'll just add a comfort fit to finish it off. For the pendant, I find it easiest to use a profile image of a classic grenade for reference. I draw an outline of the handle that I'm happy with, and I extrude it from 2D to 3D. From here, I can dive into the model and I add all the details that I want. One of the things Patrick and I talked about was that we really wanted to have the grenade pin act as the chain loop. So we'll be able to see if this works after testing a few prototypes.
All right, we've got all of the 3D files ready to go. We've sent them over to CAD Blue, who's going to be printing them out of wax. While we're waiting for that, we're going to work on the lower section of the frag grenade pendant because that's not going to be cast out of metal. We're actually going to be making that out of forged carbon fiber. So we start with this rod of forged carbon fiber, and you guys have seen me work with this before. It's an amazing material. It's super lightweight, it's super strong, and I love that marbleized pattern that it has. And you can see the technique we use to turn it into a sphere is really just kind of mesmerizing to watch. We're using a diamond hole saw and we're spinning it while simultaneously spinning the forged carbon fiber rod on the lathe, and it just turns it into this perfect sphere. All we have to do at this point is just sand off the little nubs that are left over. And then we go ahead and use a bead drilling machine in order to make a spot for the metal pin section of the grenade pendant to slot into place. Now let's go grab our 3D prints.
Today, we're here at CAD Blue using their 3D Systems printer. This is a Projet 2500W, and it provides the highest definition wax print you'll find anywhere in the world.
All right, we've got the wax prints ready to go, but now we need to turn it from being wax into metal. So to do that, we're going to do lost wax casting. So first step in that is going to be setting up our sprue tree. So I'm just cutting and trimming all the wax to connect these. That way the metal can successfully flow into the ring and fill in all of the cracks and have perfect details. Now I'll put the sprue tree into this metal flask and then I'll fill the whole thing to the top with investment plaster. This is going to perfectly capture all of the details that these really nice wax printings have. Then once the plaster hardens, I put it in my kiln and I hold it at about 1300 degrees Fahrenheit for about 4 hours, and that completely burns out and melts away all of the wax. That leaves us with a perfectly empty mold ready to accept the metal. Now our metal of choice here is going to be sterling silver, so I'm going to dump out a healthy portion of it. You never want to have too little of it, so I put a little extra in there just to be safe, and then I'm melting it in my crucible here just using my jeweler's torch. It takes a minute, but eventually we get it all down to a really nice liquid. Once the sterling silver is molten, I'm going to take the plaster mold out of the kiln. I've been holding it at 900 degrees in there because you need to preheat it. Otherwise, when you pour the molten sterling silver into there, it's going to crack your mold and ruin your shapes. And for these next steps, you got to be quick. I insert the plastic mold onto my vacuum table. That's going to remove any bubbles from our castings. Then I pour it in, and just like that, we're done with all of the molding. I just gotta wait a few minutes and then I'll dissolve the whole thing in water here. And you can see we turned what used to be wax into this awesome sterling silver casting. Next step is pretty straightforward. I just have to remove all of the pieces from the excess sprue tree. So we do that real quick with a jeweler's saw. And then we use some sandpaper to go ahead and get rid of any of those remaining bumps that were left. Now we're getting really close to having these finished. We're gonna do a few more finishing touches to make it look a little bit nicer, as well as be more comfortable to wear. So first we're going to dump everything into this tumbler. That's going to get rid of any of the rough edges, smooth everything out, and make sure we're left with some really nice castings. Next, we'll put just the ring in this silver oxidizer. We're going to sand the exposed edges of it, so anything recessed on the ring is going to maintain that black finish, so it just gives it a really nice contrast. Now let's jump over and work on the bead for just a minute. Now it's time to attach the sterling silver top pin section of the grenade, and that just completes the look. We use a really nice epoxy here to make sure that it stays secure forever. Now, as a finishing touch to the frag grenade ring, we're going to go ahead and sand both the outside and the inside, give it a really nice brushed finish. And like I said earlier, that black oxide finish that's left over on the cracks in the ring just looks so nice. It gives it a wonderful contrast. And with that, the project is finished. That was a lot of steps. I really appreciate you guys sticking around to watch that whole thing. This was a really fun project to do with Derek in general. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I know this was quite different from what I normally do, so I thought you guys would appreciate just the uniqueness of this project. And as always, we're going to have these for sale. We're going to have a link in the description. You guys can check that out. And again, I just want to say thank you so much to Derek from Additive Designs for working with me on this project. It was a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next week.